Hey, Profiteers, welcome back to another episode of Positive Profit. I'm your host, Kara Brothers, and this is your go to YouTube show and podcast for all things dog treat business related. Today, we're diving into a topic that can truly revolutionize how you manage your time in the kitchen and your productivity. And I'm talking about batch baking for dog treats. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from many of you in our Dog Treat Baker Facebook group, you know who you are, about how hectic your days can be between baking and decorating, packaging, and everything else that goes along with it. It can really feel like you're spending all day in the kitchen, but not getting a lot done. Well, I have been there, and I've got some great strategies to share with you here today. In fact, I just had a coaching call opportunity with someone in the Dog Treat Baker Facebook group, and they were wondering about how they can prepare for big events and how to manage their time more efficiently. And this episode is going to address that. Before we start, I wanted to show you some of my new merchandise that will be coming out soon. This is one that says the Dog Treat Lady. You can choose any name you want for yourself, but really other people know you as the Dog Treat Lady. Maybe it's something else for you, but really this says it all. And this is one of the many styles that I've got coming out. I've got some kind of identity verification thing going on between the IRS and Stripe. So I'm trying to get that figured out. Meanwhile, the store is ready to go. It is just not published yet, and I hope you like it. I totally love it. It's an awesome conversation starter. Even though I don't have my business anymore, like I worked to town and two people are like, "Do you make dog treats?" Like, well, I used to. So wear this and you're going to get noticed. Oftentimes people just tune out business advertisements on shirts. I do it. I tune them out. But something like this, I'm going to look at and then there's the conversation right there for you. Anyway, that's coming soon, but I wanted to wear it because it's exciting and I just wanted to. Anyway, so let's talk about batch baking and it being a game changer. Instead of cramming all of your tasks into one exhausting day, you can really spread them out across the week. And we're talking about tasks in the kitchen, okay? And this not only makes your workflow much smoother, but it also helps you maintain a high level of quality with every batch you bake. When I owned my own dog treat business, Chico Dog Barkery, this method was a lifesaver. I didn't figure it out right at first. I wish I had, but I didn't have anyone to show me the ropes. I wasn't taught this. I didn't know anyone who did this. I wasn't listening to this on the internet, wasn't seeing it. It was out of nowhere. And you don't know what you don't know. And when you find out, well, that anyway, so I had to figure it out. You don't have to do that. Just listen to the podcast, watch the show, and I'll show you how I did it. And then you can see how you can mold and fit this for you. This may not be a one size all depending on what kind of dog bakery you are and what your own schedule is. But I think this is going to help in some kind of way most businesses. And in a nutshell, here is how this whole thing works. For me, I did it over a 4-day period. You might want to tweak it depending again on what your business and what your schedule is like. But this is really made for when you want to bake a lot and you have pockets of time. Okay. And also if you want to bake ahead too for an event or just keep some on hand. But here's how it would work. Day 1, make all of your dough for the week and refrigerate it in Ziploc bags. Label them, stick them right in the fridge. And so that's all you're doing. So even if you only have like an hour, great. Well, that's not enough time to make dog treats. And it's not, but it's definitely enough time to make dough for sure. So day 1, make all your dough. Day 2, you're going to roll out the dough. You're going to cut out the shapes, bake it, and stick it in the dehydrator. Set it and forget it overnight. So that's day 2. You're just rolling out what you already made. Of course, let it come to room temperature and all that so it's pliable and easy to work with. But day 2 is rolling out, cutting out, baking, tossing in the dehydrator. Day number 3, decorate those treats when they come out of the dehydrator if that's what you're going to do with them. If not, bag and label the treats for sale. If you do decorate on day 3, let them dry overnight so that day 4, you're bagging and labeling the treats for sale. So this is a method where you're going to be doing something for all of those 4 days, but it really keeps you consistent and it helps you focus on one task at a time. Focusing on one task at a time helps you to streamline your efforts in the kitchen and makes each process way more efficient. So, here are the benefits of batch baking, and we're going to talk about it now a little bit more in detail. First of all, time efficiency. When you batch your tasks, you reduce the time that is spent on, let's say, for example, setup and cleanup. So instead of cleaning your workspace like multiple times a day, you do it once per task. And this can save you hours each week. Also, consistent quality. This is a big one. For me, I was a stickler on quality and making sure everything looked right and really focusing on one task at a time helped me maintain consistent quality. And then when I brought others on board, I could teach that to them as well. Because if I'm not making the treat and someone else's, you can better make sure I have all four eyes on that treat. That's just me. But it helps you really to be consistent with that because you are less likely to make mistakes when you're not rushing through multiple steps at once. Let's talk about a big winner for this whole thing, which is stress reduction. Knowing exactly what you will be doing each day significantly reduces your stress. It'll help you plan your day. It will help you plan your week. You can stick in those pockets of time for the things that you know you need to be doing and work your schedule around your life, not the other way around, right? Because our lives and the things we have to do, that really should come first. The important things, sometimes in business, it's so easy to lose track of that. But with this kind of a schedule, you can stick in those pockets of time. And what I do is I set my schedule Sunday night for the week because I already know what I'm going to be doing. I already have my doctor's appointments, my husband's appointments, anything I might be doing already planned out. And then so in the calendar, I stick in these work blocks that have these tasks. It's so much easier. You're just not going to feel overwhelmed by a long list of tasks. Instead, you'll have a clear, manageable plan. Think about it. You get your kitchen set up to make the dough. All your ingredients are out, right? Your counters are all crazy and messy. And then you go ahead and you roll out the dough. So now you've got your baking mat and your rolling pin. And now you're finding cookie cutters and you're preheating the oven and you're cutting out your cookies and you're putting them on the pan in hopes that when you do that, it didn't warp the shape you cut out. You know what I'm saying? Then you're going to be baking each one of those trays of dog treats, and you're going to be cycling through until your batch is done. And then you're going to put them in the dehydrator. Most of you will. And after they're dehydrated, hopefully there might be time in the evening where you can decorate these things, let them dry overnight, and then package them the next day. It's a full day. It's a long day. Depending on how much you baked, you may not be able to get a lot on the finished product, and just blocking this out piece by piece it's so much more efficient. You would be surprised. It also helps you with inventory management. Batch baking allows you to manage your inventory more efficiently. So you can see exactly how much dough you have, how many treats you need to decorate, and how many are ready for packaging just at a glance. So it also helps with overproduction and reduced waste. And what I really like about this is when I make all my dough for the week, sometimes I'll make extra and I'll freeze it. I'll stick that thing in a labeled Ziploc bag because if I'm making dough for the week, I might just make a little extra of that kind of dough so that if I get a surprise event I wasn't planning for the weekend, great. I've got backup dough in the refrigerator. I'm already shaved part of my time off this surprise order. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe the event is going to be busier than you thought. Fantastic. You've got some stored away in the freezer. And if you're making one batch or two batches, you might as well make 5. I know that sounds kind of crazy. I've made 12 times before in really big bowls, but you need way bigger measuring cups for that, though. This method also gives you more flexibility. With batch baking, if you have a particularly busy day, you can adjust your schedule really without falling behind because you're not doing everything at once. It's not all or nothing. You've got these little chunks of work. For example, if you have an event or maybe a personal commitment, you can switch your decoration day to another day without disrupting your week. Okay. Because this is a 4-day process. If you don't decorate, it's a 3-day process, but really it's a 4-day process. And if you start on Monday and you're done by Thursday, if you didn't get to decorate, you can go ahead and push out another day because chances are you're decorating for an event that's on a weekend. Now, here are some advanced tips for batch baking your treats, and it's going to take this whole concept to another level. The first one is pre-roll your dough, y'all. After making your dough, instead of just putting it in a labeled Ziploc bag and sticking it in the refrigerator or the freezer, go the extra mile and portion out. Let's say you made a 4 times batch or a 5 times batch. Let's just say separate your dough out into 4 or 5 balls and then go ahead and roll them into flat discs. Wrap them in plastic wrap and then refrigerate or freeze them. I used to fit mine in 2-gallon bags until I started rolling just a little bit bigger. I would actually roll them out the size of my cookie sheet and I would freeze them on a cookie sheet. I'd wrap the first layer in saran wrap and stick it right on the cookie sheet. Roll the second one out, wrap it in plastic wrap, stick it on top. And I'd go ahead until I had 5 of them or however many balls I divided my dough in. And this speeds up your baking process because you only need to let the dough thaw or come to room temperature. The rolling is already done. Once you go to thaw it out or bring it to room temperature, you might have a little extra rolling to do, just a slight bit, but man, that's basically done for you. Like, how fantastic is that? So now you're just cutting out cookies on day 2. That is such a huge time saver. And most doughs freeze really well. Like, I did that all the time. So, just a time-saving advanced technique. Okay, so we talked about freezing dough. And making dough in large quantities and freezing it is a great way to stock up for future events that we alluded to earlier. Just take out the dough as you need it to bake treats quickly, especially if you pre-rolled it. It's all in the freezer. It's going to keep for a long time. And it's really useful during busy seasons. Hello, Halloween. Hello, Thanksgiving. OMG, Christmas. Y'all are coming. They're going to be here before we know it. And so when you've got busy seasons, these are a lifesaver, or when you're preparing for a large event or a large order. Now think about decorating and how efficient this would be. You can set up a dedicated decorating station with all of your tools and supplies within reach. So you just spend less time searching for items and it keeps you focused on the task at hand. So on your decorating day, you've got a place already carved out. Your cookies are cooled, they're waiting, maybe they're in stacks according to shape. You've got your icings, your everything. And that time is just for decorating all of the batches you have made for the whole week. Okay? It's fantastic. Labeling and packaging. Create a system for labeling and packaging your treats. You can use pre-printed labels and that's what I did. I printed them at home, but I had my bag and tag system, as Diana Hughes loves to call it. Man, when I heard that, Diana, I was like, that makes so much sense. So use pre-printed labels, get your bags in order, have your desiccant packets, and set up an assembly line to make that process faster. And so consider investing in a heat sealer. It's going to give your packages a more professional look. A lot of you do it, but if you don't already, I would suggest that you get a heat sealer. If you want a video about heat sealing, let me know. I'd be happy to make one. Okay, so testimonials and example. I am not the only one who has found success with batch baking. Here are some testimonials from fellow dog treat bakers who have implemented this method. Sarah from Cupcakes Bakery says, batch baking has been a lifesaver. I used to spend all day in the kitchen and still feel like I wasn't getting much done. Now I have a clear plan for each day and I'm more productive than ever. Mike from Wolf Wonders says, I started batching my tasks a few months ago and it's made a huge difference. I have more time to focus on marketing and growing my business because I'm not constantly stressed about baking. Batch baking is not just a technique. It's a mindset that you shift into. It's a way of organizing your tasks that maximize efficiency and reduces stress. And with this kind of mentality, you might find other tasks in your dog treat business that you can batch as well. I hope these tips inspired you to try batch baking in your own dog treat business. And remember, the goal is to work smarter, not harder. If you try batch baking, let me know how it worked for you and what you did and what changes you saw. I'd love to know. So, thank you for tuning into this episode of Positive Profit. And I really hope that you found these tips helpful and that they will inspire you to streamline your baking process. If you have any questions or you want to share your experiences, reach out to me on social media or leave a comment in the YouTube video below. And if you haven't already, join our free Facebook Dog Treat Bakers group. We have a fantastic bunch there who love to talk shop about all things dog treats. You can get to it by going to facebook.com/groups/start a dog treat biz. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, we'd love a review for the show. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe bell and the notification button so you won't miss any of these awesome tips for your dog treat business. This is Kara Brothers signing off. And as always, don't forget to treat yourself well. Bye, everyone.